I think that the auto-enrolment piece of legislation, so workplace pensions, auto-enrolment, I think that this is the first part of a much bigger game or a much bigger plan that the British government has in mind. Interestingly, the British government is actually quite late to the party. So if you look at Australia, they went through what they call superannuity almost 20 years ago, which is a mirror image of auto-enrolment. Sweden, Denmark, Holland, Uruguay, even Poland have all gone through their versions of auto-enrolment. So why is the government pushing this piece of legislation? Well, very simply, their decision and their calculations looking forward is that the state pension is probably unaffordable for the longer term. So over the next decade or more, you will see the government probably withdrawing the state pension. Shock horror. I mean, that's probably the reality, because it's become unaffordable. You know, all paying all these benefits to people on a long-term basis. Now, here's the sort of the demographic data really. People are living longer. So as you came out of the 60s into the 70s, the average age of people retiring was, you know, late 50s. People were dying round about 68, 69. Roll that forward to 2030, the average age or the average life expectancy is expected to be 89. So, you know, it means that when you retire, you know, you've got to find, you know, have income in your pot, in your retirement fund, to keep you going for 25 years. And the pensions industry, the government, they're relying on you actually to die a lot sooner. So if you live longer, it puts more strain on the pot. There's just not enough money going around. So there is a bigger game in town, and there's a couple of things additionally that's going to happen. We're coming out to an election. So you're seeing a lot of small businesses that are not doing what they should do in terms of auto-enrolment. They're not meeting their staging date, which is the date by which they have to have everything ready. But the government aren't necessarily fining them and making a big deal of it, because there's an election coming up, and you know, if you go after small businesses, it's not good for votes. But when we get through that election, you'll see a couple of things happen. You'll see the option to opt out, because people have the ability to say, no, I don't want to join the auto-enrolment pension scheme or workplace pension scheme, I want to opt out. That will be removed, and it will become compulsory after the election. The second thing after the election that will happen is that the level of contributions will increase quite significantly. At the moment they're 1% and 1% employee, 1% employer. That goes to 2 and 3, and then 3 and 5 by 2018. In other countries, they're already at the 15 or 18% contribution, both employer and employee added together, around about the 15, 18%. So in Sweden and in Norway and in Denmark, they pay a lot higher. So there's the trend really. In other countries who've been through this, you will end up having to join a scheme. It will become compulsory, and you'll end up paying a lot more contributions. So that's the consequence of government thinking. The government haven't really come clean yet, because there's an election. When that election is out of the way, then you'll see the consequences of this piece of legislation really biting.